again, everyone. It's me, MadameMacabre, your local spooky internet auntie, and today I am here to help teach those of you who might be interested in learning how to read tarot. Now, I've talked a little bit about tarot on my channel in the past before, but I've never really broken it down like this before, so I thought this might be a fun thing, because before I started learning, I had always been really interested, but it always seemed super intimidating and I wasn't quite sure where to start. Sure, there's plenty of researches in Google and all that, but it's a lot and it can be scary, and sometimes having videos to help you break it down can make it a little easier to digest, and different people learn differently. So hopefully this will be helpful to some of you. Who knows, it may even spark a new interest for those of you who never even considered this interesting art. Today, I'm going to start teaching you about a few of the major arcana. Now, before we get into this, the thing with tarot cards is tarot itself is made up of 78 cards. 22 of these are called the major arcana, while 56 are the minor arcana. So the main difference between the major and the minor arcana are how they relate to your life and your circumstances, and there's a cat. Major arcana can represent big life events, milestones, big chapters in your life, while the minor arcana deal more with your day-to-day life and experiences. While all 22 of the major arcana are their own individual thing, the minor arcana are split into what are called suits. There are 4 suits that all the rest of the cards make up. The suits are swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. Oftentimes you may get fun novelty decks that have these things swapped up, but they'll generally have an equivalency that leads right back to these original 4 suits. And each of these suits represent a different area of the psyche in your life and different aspects that they relate to. This cat wants attention so badly. Along with the object that these suits are associated, each of the suits are also associated with an element. Swords being associated with air, and air also being associated with intellect and decision-making. Pentacles are the earth element, and they are associated with money and achievements. Wands are associated with fire, and they are also associated with action, or your actions. And finally, cups, as you might have guessed, are associated with water, and those cards are in relation to your emotions and feelings. In later videos, when I'm done discussing the major arcana, we will later break down into the minor arcana, and I will get more in depth with those. However, for today, we're going to be focusing on the first couple of the major arcana. Considering there's a lot of information to share, I probably won't be getting through all of the major arcana. This is going to have to be a couple parts in itself. I'm actually going to stop myself right here before I jump in, because this is me from the future. I forgot to say this at the beginning. Everything I talk about in this video is my own personal interpretation of tarot based on my own study, my own resources, things that I have used, and what I personally believe. Someone else could get an entirely different interpretation out of it, but just based on me and my own studies, I thought I would share what I think. So, just getting that out of the way, this is my interpretation. Your interpretation, if you also practice, could be entirely different. So, without further ado, we'll get right back to it. So, the first card we're going to be talking about today is the only card of the major arcana that doesn't actually have a number associated with it, meaning it can come as the first card or the last card. In today's case, we're going to be talking about it first, and that is the Fool. So I've got a couple decks of my own here that I'm going to show imagery from. Both of these were gifts to me. This was my very first ever deck. Very, very edgy. Enjoy that edge. And then this was a later one given by another friend. I believe this is the Tarot of Vampire, and this is like mystical manga deck, if you want to find these same ones that I'm using. But yeah, so we're working with the Fool. The first thing generally associated with the Fool is a sense of freedom, a free spirit, innocence, and new beginnings. Now, mind you, this is for upright meanings. I'm not sure if we're going to get into reversed, because that might mean we can only do 1 or 2 cards stay. We'll see. We'll see how long this takes. But for upright meanings, because if a card's upside down, it can have a different meaning, it's going to mean those things that I mentioned. So, as I mentioned before, Major Arcana are for major life events and milestones. And this card appearing in your spread can oftentimes mean you are about to enter a new phase into your life, a new beginning, or perhaps closing an old one and preparing to take this new beginning. It also speaks about now is the time to charge forward and take the chance, because oftentimes the fool, he doesn't care that he can't see what lies ahead. He's just going to follow his free spirit and he's going to take that plunge. It may be speaking of a new journey that you need to take. You may have been in a position where you've been feeling stagnant and unable to grow, and you just need to go out there and do a new thing. The Fool could be telling you to do such a thing. The Fool tells you to be courageous and take the risks. Mind you, you can take it a little too far and be foolhardy, but it's generally a sign to do the thing and don't be afraid. Now that is just your general reading of the Fool. Now it can also mean things in certain situations as well, like for instance in your career and finances. If you are getting a reading in regards to your job and your finances, the Fool could be telling you it's time to get a new job, or if you are looking for a job, branch out and try something new. Or if you are an entrepreneur, do that creative business venture. You've been thinking about it, take the risk, follow your dream, do the thing. Kind of like the general reading, but you apply it to work and it tells you work-related things. Who'd have thunk it? In regards to a love and relationship reading, it could be speaking about perhaps you have just started a new relationship and it's in its infancy and you're trying to see, sort of scope out and feel where things are going. Or if you are in an established relationship, you might be starting to feel restless and wanting to go out and do a new journey. Maybe things aren't really feeling fun for you anymore, so it could also be hinting at your desire to go out and do things. Or it can also speak on a lack of commitment because you have a strong desire to go out and always live that bachelor or bachelorette lifestyle. You don't want to settle down, you don't want to take these risks. And that's all fine and dandy if that is something that truly makes you happy, but it does speak a word of caution that just make sure you don't pass up a good thing just in the chase of the spontaneity and that excitement you think you want. So just think on it. And then finally, something that a lot of people also ask for readings about is like health and well-being, and something that the Fool can mean if it comes up in the context of a health and wellness reading. It could be giving you a warning to make sure you're not being foolhardy because an accident could happen, so make sure you are being cautious about your actions. Or if you are already ill, it could be talking about your health taking an upswing and starting to get better. This may require another journey that the Fool is associated with to get to this point, which could be you may need to explore other options you hadn't considered before, but it can speak of a positive change. And since we've broken all that down, why not throw in the reversed meaning as well? A lot of people, when they're starting out, sometimes don't want to get into reverse meanings, because reverse meanings can be associated with a lot of the negative sides of a card. Not always negative, sometimes it can just be looking at the context that the card gives you from a different angle or different perspective. But this is where the darker side comes in, so some people, they start learning and they don't touch the reversed at first. But for those who are interested, the Fool's reversed meanings, at least how I understand them, are the following. Whereas upright, the Fool speaks of a good need to take a leap, be adventurous, do the thing. The reversed Fool is sort of a warning telling you, be cautious that you are not being too foolhardy. You don't want to go charging into the unknown with zero research whatsoever done and then end up eating a bunch of consequences that you completely regret and just make it even worse than before. It could also be speaking of an instance where you could be getting taken advantage of, being made a fool of by someone, something out there in your life. So be aware of how you are being treated in your life. And this could be either personal relationships or work relationships. And speaking of work relationships, it can also talk on being in over your head. Like, it could be a warning that, if you are like, yeah, fake it till I make it, but I cannot make it, I don't know this stuff. Just be wise in your choices there. And then finally, if it's in reverse in a relationship reading, it could either mean that you are dealing with a lot of uncertainty in what you want while you're trying to search, and it may be telling you, make sure you get your own ducks in a row before you start thinking, that's what I want, and jumping right into it. Or if you're already in a relationship, it could be telling you that neither of you really know what you want, and while you might enjoy the spontaneity and how things are constantly changing, is that what you really want? Sit down and talk it out and see if it really is the thing that it's supposed to be. And either you will find out that it's not for the best to be, or you'll, through that communication, figure out what you were missing and it'll all be good. All right, so that is about it for the Fool card. That went on for a little while, so I think today we're only going to get through 2 Major Arcana just to keep this from getting ridiculously long. The next Major Arcana we are going to deal with, I've got some from my decks, is the Magician. Here's that edgy artwork one. And then here's the manga-related one. The funny thing about the edgy one is I don't think it was going to work as good as it does, but that thing gut punches you. It tells you the truth without caring about your feelings. It's always given me accurate readings, but it's not very nice. But sometimes you need that. All right, well, with the Magician, let's get into that now. The Magician is a powerful being, so this card, in shorthand, can generally mean power, skill, your concentration, things like that. Now, in general, the Magician can often appear for you when you are finding yourself in a position of power in your own life. You may have been thinking about doing things or wanting to do things, and now is the time that you have the ability, the resources, the willpower, whatever it may be, you have the power to make it happen now. Generally, this is a really positive card. It speaks on empowerment in your own skills, your abilities, a lot to do with creativity. Many of those endeavors that you want to do, you have the power to do it, and this card is telling you, now's a good time. You have to obviously make the choices to do the actions to make this come true. Like, the card isn't going to magically do all the work for you, but if you're waiting for a sign telling you, should I do the thing? I feel like I can do the thing. The Magician is telling you it's a good sign to use the skills and resources you have at hand, because with all of those elements, you can do it. In a career and finances reading, the Magician can indicate that you are really, really good at what you do. Whether you're recognized for this or not, you are really talented in your profession, and you're doing pretty well at it. And if you are currently looking for employment, this card can also sort of tell you to maybe consider looking into fields that would allow you to use these many skills and resources and the knowledge that you have so you can be really enriched and share these talents with the world. And in regards to money specifically, this card can speak to a possible opportunity soon to enter your life that will allow you to earn more money. Maybe it's a person you run into or a work opportunity. Something could be happening, something on the horizon that is an opportunity, if you make the correct choices, that could financially benefit you. In regards to love and relationships, the Magician, again, is a positive card. It speaks that both you and your partner have good heads on your shoulder, and you both know what you want, and you are willing to do the work it takes to make it a really successful relationship. So what you've got could be a really good thing. Also, if you don't have a current relationship, it can speak as to finding love and telling you, again, resources, action, skills. Use what you have at your disposal. You can't just sit in your room all day and make no effort to find a partner and then have it just fall in your lap. Use your tools. Think outside the box. You can use internet dating, friends, anything that you have at your disposal. Why not give it a shot? Because you've got the skills, you've got the intellect, use it. And finally, again, in relation to health and well-being, if you are currently experiencing health issues, the Magician can either tell you that you are, or you need to be, considering all the options and doing all your research, that you need to make the best choices based on an informed decision. So you're either doing this, and that's good on you and it's going to help you out, or you need to be doing this. And as far as emotional well-being, even if you are suffering from illness or some sort of problem, the magician says that you can still be optimistic because you know you're resourceful, you know you can try things out, so mostly you're keeping positive about it. And then, just like with the Fool, I guess we'll also dabble in the reversed meanings, or how I interpret them. So, with the Magician, how it speaks a lot about your skills and your resourcefulness and your intellect. In reverse, this card could be calling you out for using all these wonderful skills and abilities and resources to be a greedy boy, a greedy little boy. You are blessed with these wonderful things about you, and just try and be conscientious and make sure that you are not using them at the expense of others to hurt others. Yes, it is good to see yourself and your loved ones do well and to succeed, but just be conscious that it is not explicitly at the expense of other people, because you never want to use your skills to intentionally cause pain. That's bad juju. And another interpretation about this is you could also, rather than using skills to hurt people, you may be doubting yourself and not using skills you actually have, resources you actually have. You may think you are totally helpless in a situation, and this card showing up in reverse is telling you, actually, are you really as helpless as you're telling yourself that you are? You have power in you, you have resources, you have skill and intellect. Utilize it, dig deep, find what it is, really think it over, and use what you have. Alright guys, so those were the first two major arcana, and again, what I personally interpret the meanings to be based on my own studies. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and if you guys are still interested, I will be jumping into more of the cards in the future. I will probably be able to get through at least 3 next time, since I won't have the introduction set up, all the basic starter information on tarot, and can just dive right in. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments down below. If there's something that I missed out, or if you have a personal different interpretation, whether it goes in tangent with mine or is different than mine, please feel free to share in the comments below, because the wonderful thing about this amazing craft is that it is something that you will forever be learning for the rest of your life. There's always new things to learn, new perspectives to find, so I'm happy to hear your own outlook as well. Anyway, I will catch you all next time, and until then, remember, stay creepy.